Tonight, crash inquiry. The fatal accident probe into a train derailment in Aberdeenshire, in which 3 people died, is set for next year. Also tonight, with concern over mounting job losses in the oil and gas sector, more workers are set to benefit from funding to support a move to renewables. Keir Starmer goes on the offensive at the Labour Party conference with a series of new policies to take on the threat from reform. While in sport, Robert McIntyre admits it was a stressful final day as Europe held off a dramatic USA comeback to win the Ryder Cup. Good evening, I'm Norman MacLeod and this is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. The fatal accident inquiry into a train crash in Aberdeenshire, in which 3 people died, has been set for next year. Driver Brett McCulloch, conductor Donald Dinny and passenger Christopher Stutchbury all died when the train derailed near Stonehaven in August 2020. Stephen is in the newsroom. The sheriff today said there was no need to reinvestigate a report into the derailment.
Yeah, this was another preliminary hearing ahead of the fatal accident inquiry getting underway. And now there's been discussion previously around the official investigation by the Rail Accident Investigation Branch. It reported in 2022 after carrying out an investigation into the train crash. Now, driver Brett McCulloch, conductor Donald Dinny and passenger Christopher Stutchbury all died when the train hit a landslip near Stonehaven in August 2020. There had been heavy rain that morning and the RAIB report found that errors in the construction of a drainage system meant it was unable to cope with the amount of rain that day. Now, Sheriff Leslie Johnson said today there was no dispute that the RAIB was a highly specialist and expert body and no one was taking issue with the investigation. However, it doesn't mean that the inquiry won't look at issues raised in the investigation.
And the date for the FAI has now been fixed.
Yeah, we've previously heard that it was to take place at the end of January next year. Today, Sheriff Johnson confirmed she would fix the start date for the 26th of January next year. It's expected to last 4 weeks, with the FAI expected to conclude around the 26th of February. Of course, it will be some time after that until the full outcome of the FAI is known. OK, Stephen, thank you. Amid warnings that tens of thousands of jobs could go in the oil and gas sector, unions and industry leaders are calling for more help to secure the future of the workforce. Today, it was announced more oil and gas workers will benefit from funding to support them in a move to renewables. It came as the largest energy transition skills hub in Scotland was opened in Aberdeen. Brian Agriachan has the details.
For decades, oil and gas has been crucial to the North East and wider Scotland economy. But there are concerns that as the sector declines, there's not enough support to help workers move towards renewables. Today, a new multi-million-pound facility opens in Aberdeen, aiming to help students and existing workers into greener jobs. At least 1,000 people could be supported into work over the next 5 years.
This Skills Hub is really about giving us the extra capacity that we need in order to respond with pace and scale to the challenge that the energy transition presents. We've always been in the business of delivering skills and supporting the energy sector, but we know that the types of skills that are required to transition into the new energy industries of the future require a different skill set.
But there's warnings that tens of thousands of jobs could be lost in the energy sector, with industry blaming policies like the windfall tax and the ban on new oil and gas drilling licences. But those behind this initiative say the hub will help workers switch careers.
We're also working with universities in the Aberdeen to help them retrain and upskill people as well. So no, this is good timing. This is about a long-term investment and we hope it will be really beneficial to people living and working in the northeast of Scotland.
A plate that's just been added on here has just been welded on, as you can see.
More than 70 students are already enrolled at the centre, with opportunities to reskill those already in the industry.
The renewables industry is just booming, brand new, and just the company basis as well, what they offer as well is like amazing, considering a lot of other jobs. I don't think you get to go offshore as quickly as we get the opportunity as well.
You kind of have to do a mix of everything, really. Obviously, practical, technical is going to be the most important in the long run, but yeah, just a mix of everything, really.
The First Minister's announced an extra £450,000 to provide extra support for 100 offshore oil and gas workers. The UK government says the fund is helping highly skilled workers reap the benefits of Scotland's fast expanding offshore wind and carbon capture sectors. Gráinne Grehan, STV News.
Well, joining him now in the studio in Aberdeen is the First Minister, John Swinney. John Swinney, the additional training funding announced today has been welcomed, but is it enough given the number of job losses we've witnessed in the North Sea and the North East?
The announcement today and the opening of the Energy Transition Skills Hub is a step, an illustration of the commitment that we have to supporting the North East of Scotland economy as we manage the transition from the dominance of oil and gas to the new energy futures for Scotland. But I recognise this is one aspect of our investment. That's got to be a sustained commitment over a long period of time, and I gave that commitment when I was in the North East of Scotland today.
Businesses and workers have told us at STV News they feared the gap between oil and gas jobs and renewables is getting wider. What reassurance can you give workers that there is a future and that they can transition?
What we've got to make sure is that we take early decisions on the consenting of new developments, and my government is absolutely focused on making sure that's the case. We've also got to be prepared to put in place some of the investments, such as that I announced today, that opened today, which is about enabling people with skills in oil and gas to be reskilled and retrained to operate in new energies, whether that's in offshore renewables or in hydrogen developments or in other energy technologies. So the key point is there has to be absolutely sustained and focused commitment to the North East of Scotland, and I'm determined to make sure the Scottish Government offers that.
As part of that commitment is the energy strategy that the Scottish Government has promised. It's been 2 years since there was a draft. When are we going to see any movement there?
What we've got to take account of is a changing picture in relation to energy regulation and in some of the decisions that have been taken by the courts on oil and gas licensing. So we're considering all of those issues as we assess the position the United Kingdom government arrives at and the decisions that are made by the court.
But why is it taking so long, though?
Well, quite simply because these are complex issues and issues that cause real difficulty in the public policy. But what people should be assured of in the North East of Scotland is the absolute commitment of the Scottish Government to support the North East, to support the energy transition, and to make sure we do everything we can to make sure Scotland, and the North East particularly, has got a strong and sustainable energy future.
OK. First Minister, thank you for joining us. School pupils will be asked to use toilet facilities which correspond to their biological sex rather than ones they feel most comfortable with under updated guidance published today. The Scottish Government says the refreshed rules will give schools more confidence in the provision of toilet facilities and help them to support transgender children and young people.
I think it's really important that every pupil in Scotland is able to reach their potential, and every pupil, of course, deserves our support in doing that. So our updated guidance means that all of their individual needs will be respected. All schools are required to provide separate toilets for girls and boys. And in addition, the guidance makes very clear that councils should give careful consideration to the individual needs of transgender pupils.
Keir Starmer has gone on the offensive at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool with a series of new policies to take on the threat from Nigel Farage's reform. But the Prime Minister faced questions about his own future with a possible leadership rival warning Labour is in peril at the Holyrood elections next year. Our Westminster correspondent Paris Gourtsianis is in Liverpool. What's the mood there, Paris?
Well, Norman, there's a big contrast to last year when Labour were gathered here in Liverpool. Then they had just won a huge majority. Now things are much more uncertain because, of course, Labour are behind reform in the polls across the UK, behind the SNP in Scotland. Anna Sarwar, the Scottish Labour leader, is here. His message is, we've beaten the odds before, we can do it again. But he has told his party it's got to get better at telling its own story. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has been taking the fight to reform. He says that their policy to deport hundreds of thousands of immigrants who are here in the UK legally and have the right to stay, he says that's racist. In terms of taking on the SNP, lots of mentions of the £10 billion shipbuilding deal with Norway, which will see those ships built on the Clyde. But most of the new policies that we've heard have been aimed squarely at reform.
We will soon increase the time in which someone must have lived in this country to earn indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10. I will be proposing a series of new tests, such as being in work, making national insurance contributions, not taking a penny in benefits, learning English to a high standard, having no criminal record, and finally, that you have truly given back to your community, such as by volunteering your time to a local cause.
Our guarantee means that any young person out of work, education or training for more than 18 months will be given a paid work placement. I commit this Labour government to nothing less than the abolition of long-term youth unemployment.
Now, what Rachel Reeves didn't say there is that any young person who refuses that offer of work would also lose their benefits. Throw in the proposal to create a digital ID to crack down on illegal work by migrants who come to the UK illegally, and you have a big package of measures aimed at voters who are taking a hard look at reform.
And Paris, there's been pressure on Keir Starmer from within Labour too.
That's right. A lot of attention here on Andy Burnham, the Labour Mayor of Manchester, who's questioned the party's direction under Keir Starmer. He admits he can't actually launch a leadership challenge because he's not an MP. But he does have a base of support on the left of the Labour Party and among Labour members. So if things do go badly for Labour at next year's Holyrood elections and across the UK, then Starmer's critics reckon that they have a ready-made replacement. The Prime Minister's speech tomorrow is going to have to win over doubters outside this conference hall and inside it.
Paris at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool, many thanks. A Dundee carer has been banned from the profession after sexually assaulting a female colleague. The Scottish Social Services Council said the woman was left distressed when Abu Yakubu pulled her back into a car as she tried to get out, then molested her. The care regulator found that he hadn't shown any insight into his behaviour and ruled that he should be struck off. A new campaign's been launched to save Scotland's oldest ship. More than £1 million is needed to raise HMS Unicorn from her dock on Dundee's waterfront and create a maritime heritage centre. Built in 1824 as a naval warship, the Unicorn is one of the oldest vessels still afloat. Campaigners say her structure is now at risk and urgent intervention is needed to secure her long-term future. Now, youngsters across Fife are stepping up as mini medics. At Burnt Island Primary, pupils are gaining hands-on experience in first aid, from CPR to helping someone who's choking. Teachers say the programme not only boosts confidence in the classroom, but also inspires children to pass on life-saving skills at home. Here's Saul Siverite.
1, 2, and then you're going to go back to 30 compressions again.
Learning a skill which could help to save a life. Pupils from Burnt Island Primary School are the first in Fife to take part in the programme to become mini medics.
With Exxon's investment, we've been able to go into local schools within Fife where they've not been able to either deliver it or it's not been delivered properly, and they've been able to bring us in and we've been able to bring in adequate first aid training.
Over the next 2 weeks, 1,000 pupils from 10 local primary schools will take part. From basic first aid skills such as the recovery position to how to use a defibrillator. Scotland sees nearly 4,000 cardiac arrests each year, but only 1 in 10 survive. Early CPR and defibrillation can more than double the chances of survival.
Shocking in 3, 2, 1. Shock delivered.
We've been learning different scenarios on what you need to do. Like if somebody's choking, you would do different things to help them stop choking. We were talking about how fast it was between 100 beats per minute and 120. So the speed of what we were doing the CPR.
Been learning about
first aid and like helping people if they're injured.
If like someone is having like an emergency, you need to know what to do to help them.
We found out that Exxon were going to offer mini medics so that all of our children from primary 4 to 7 could all be trained, and we thought that was a really good initiative. It fits in with a lot of things that we're doing in the school in terms of boosting our STEM learning in particular.
Last year, training became a reality for staff here as a medical emergency unfolded at the school, resulting in the defib being used, saving a woman's life.
It just so happened that the member of staff who was first on the scene to a panicked parent saying, "Help, help, somebody's collapsed," was a member of staff who was first aid trained and also a member of staff who was defibrillator trained. So we are really lucky on our site to have a public access defibrillator, but not everybody has that. But I think it's important for all of us to be aware of where defibrillators are in our local community. We offered it to every member of staff if they wished to stay behind after school to be trained, so that if you were the person the next time, you would be able to know what to do.
For pupils here in Burnt Island, the hope is that these skills won't just stay in the classroom, but could one day make the difference in saving a life. Sol Sivright, STV News.
Let's catch up on all the sport with Chris, and elation for the Ryder Cup squad.
Yeah, and I think relief as well. It was a pretty stressful end to the play yesterday, Norman. I know everyone was watching it. And also, I think one in the eye for the fans of golf in America, who'd made it really difficult for the European team, and they came out on top in the end.
Yes.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Yes, our top golfer, Scotland's Robert McIntyre, admits the European team endured a stressful final day in the Ryder Cup as they held off a dramatic USA comeback to win the trophy. Well, after dominating the first 2 days, back-to-back Ryder Cup wins looked a formality for Europe, but it came down to the wire for Luke Donald's team, ultimately winning by just 15 points to 13. Here's Raman Bardwaj.
After a day of gut-wrenching drama, during which America produced a stunning comeback, Shane Lowry held his nerve at the 18th hole. Lowry's half point ensured the Ryder Cup was staying with Europe.
I didn't envision myself going up the 18th, needing a birdie to retain the Ryder Cup. It was, like the worst 2 hours of my life. It was horrible.
I was very fortunate to have 11 of the same guys from Rome. My job is to give guys a better chance to win, and can be as simple as some very small things.
Leading 11.5 to 4.5 going into the singles yesterday, Europe needed just 2.5 points to take the trophy back across the Atlantic and 3 points for outright victory. But hole after hole,
this little short one, oh, hello.
Shot after shot.
Seventh, and they're close at the seventh. Can you believe this?
Putt after putt. The gap was down to 5 points, with a sea of American red on the board for the remaining matches, the last of which was Bob McIntyre's. Could it come down to the Scot? Ludwig Åberg halted the US charge with a much-needed point for Europe, but the drama wasn't over. That's until Lowry drilled his 6-foot putt, then Turo Hatton tied his match for Europe to claim outright victory. So, in the end, it didn't come down to McIntyre, who also drew his match.
It was stressful most of the day, but yeah, just delighted when Tyrrell managed to get that half a point to secure it.
The European players celebrated after securing their first win in America since 2012.
We won in Rome and the wheels were set in motion to try to do something that hadn't been done in over a decade.
He's the captain of this ship and he's led us better than I can see anybody leading us.
As the celebrations continue, the question now is, will Luke Donald captain the team for a third time when the Ryder Cup takes place in Ireland in 2027?
Well, when your luck's out to football now. And Aberdeen manager Jimmy Tilleen bemoaned a lack of good fortune in the 2-0 defeat at Motherwell at the weekend that condemned the Dons to their 6th Premiership game without a goal or a win. While there were equally disappointing defeats for both Dundee and Dundee United in a weekend where Hearts jumped to the top of the table. For Aberdeen, Marco Lazatic's lack of confidence to chip Motherwell keeper Callum Ward pretty much summed up why the Dons are where they are.
Now on the left. And did he just do too much?
Why is he not chipping the goalkeeper, Rory?
It would have likely won the match for Aberdeen, ending a dismal, winless and goalless run. The Dons had created and passed up numerous other opportunities earlier in the game. And then, when the fans' frustration at just taking a point evaporated with this horror from notoriously reliable keeper Dimitar Mitov, it was almost comical.
John Katrumbis!
So Game 6 comes and goes without a goal and just 1 point on the board for Aberdeen. Next up, the visit of Ukrainian champions Shakhtar Donetsk in the Conference League on Thursday.
What can I say? Like, we have 1 point and score 0 goals. Of course, it's going to be noise and also some people with doubt for sure. But as a manager or a player, you have to push in because you have a responsibility to take us out of the situation, and you can't hide or be afraid to step out again. You have to be strong in this moment and stick together and stand up for your responsibility and for your club and do everything you can. You can't do more than that.
Dundee United had talked of revenge for their cup exit at the hands of Kilmarnock while exhausted from their European exploits, but Killie came to win, and this was no smash and grab at Tannadice. Bruce Anderson's quick feet produced the first for the visitors on 26 minutes before Robbie Dees doubled their advantage 10 into the second half. Home striker Zach Sapsford had the chance at least to reduce the deficit, but his 88th minute penalty was well saved by Killie keeper Matt Stryek. United manager Jim Goodwin had no complaints.
We're bitterly disappointed. We were on a decent run prior to the game today. You know, we wanted to try and get maximum points from our next 2 home games. You know, that wasn't to be the case, and you know, we have to pick ourselves up and show a positive reaction in the game next weekend against Livingston.
Dundee showed up in Paisley minus star man and skipper Simon Murray due to illness, and it's safe to say his absence was the difference in a game the D's had chances, but no one to execute them in the way their flame-haired talisman can. Plenty of effort was undone by Killian Phillips' goal just before half-time, and while the Dark Blues dominated the second period, lacked the killer touch to claim a point.
In set plays, trust me, can be the difference between being a top 6 club and being a bottom 6 club. So that was a real disappointment for me. The game in general, not a lot in the game. We showed more confidence in possession, which I was pleased at. We still have to do better in that respect, but I thought there's signs that we're improving, gaining a little bit of trust and confidence. But just the final moments and set plays.
Elsewhere, Hearts moved to the top of the table with an impressive 3-0 win over Falkirk. Celtic surrendering the summit after a tame goalless draw at home to Hibs. Rangers did win 2-1 at Livingston eventually, but after being pegged back by former Dundee midfielder Mo Silla, it took a 94th minute winner from Max Aarons to claim the points. The manner of the win doing little to change minds amongst the Rangers support regarding beleaguered manager Russell Martin. Well, the football might have been disappointing in the north, but let's bookend with some good news to motor racing now. And it was a hugely successful weekend for Angus race driver Sandy Mitchell, who made his Italian GT Sprint debut at Imola and walked away with a pole position and a victory. Well, parachuted into cover for Italian team VSR Racing's regular driver, the 25-year-old from Forfar Pro, took pole by more than half a second and then followed that up with a dominant Lamborghini drive yesterday to clinch victory by more than 10 seconds from ex-Formula One driver Frank Pereira.
Thank you. Thanks. No, perfect race. I mean, yeah, really happy for Andreas. His home circuit, you know, living just down the road. So really happy for him to have some friends and family here and enjoy the race. So yeah, fantastic result for the team. Couldn't have asked for any more. We did our jobs perfectly today, 1 and 2. So yeah, on to the last round now for the guys and see what they can do.
Yeah, great to see a Scot going to Italy and showing them how to race their Italian thoroughbreds. That's all from me. We'll be back here tomorrow with a build-up to Aberdeen's European debut on Thursday.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
To the weather now, and Philip, I think we're expecting some heavy rain later on in the week.
Yes, Norman, you're right. It's a bit of a miserable week to come, unfortunately, particularly towards the end of the week when we'll see some pretty high rainfall totals. Now, throughout the week, we've got various pulses of rain pushing in from the south and west, sometimes showery, sometimes more persistent and heavy in nature. The band of rain that comes in overnight Wednesday into Thursday is set to bring some very high levels of rainfall, which is what has triggered the Met Office warning issued today. That comes into effect 5 p.m. Wednesday and runs until 6 a.m. Friday. Within that warning time, we are expected to see 50 to 70 millimetres of rain quite widely within the warning area, but that is on top of what we are already seeing tomorrow. Along with that, some very strong winds too. So let's take a closer look. Here is the forecast.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, for much of the rest of this upcoming week, we are seeing a bit of a northwest-southeast divide across the UK. England and Wales seeing fine, settled conditions thanks to high pressure dominating their weather. Unfortunately, a very different story here in Scotland. We've got various frontal systems sweeping across the country, bringing with it some wet and windy conditions. And as we head towards the weekend, we're just keeping an eye on this area of low pressure moving in from the Atlantic. Back to just now, though, as we head into the overnight period, it will be turning largely dry for many of us for a time. We will see some clear skies, some hill fog developing, and also the chance of some showers making their way in from the west. But overall, it will be a milder night compared to last night for most towns and cities staying in double figures. So looking ahead to tomorrow, here in the east is where we'll be seeing the best of any brighter spells throughout the course of the afternoon. We will be seeing variable amounts of cloud and the chance of some showers still spilling in from the west throughout the course of the afternoon. But in the best of the brightness, feeling quite pleasant, highs of around 16 or 17 degrees Celsius. Then looking ahead to Wednesday, further rain will push in from the west. So this is when we start to see those rainfall totals piling up. Elsewhere, again, the best of any drier conditions will be in the east. Quite a lot of cloud around though, with temperatures reaching highs of 18 or 19.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
That's where we have to leave it for this Monday evening. I'll be here again at the usual time of 10:30. Join me then if you can. In the meantime, there are further updates online. Have a good evening.